Jai Prabhuji. We are exploring the experience of the separation in our reality. Although consciousness is undivided, the identification with the thought I traps us in a complex environment until we reach a state that yoga refers to as liberation. Action and the notion of a doer keeps us in the loop of karma for the long haul. The principle of karma is a cornerstone in Hindu thought, besides offering an important ontological insight into the nature of the soul and its whereabouts when it is covered by ignorance. It is also serves as a social and personal incentive for leading a moral life. The word karma in the Vedas originally referred to sacrificial ritual. Each one of the 4 Vedas has a karma kanda, a portion that deals with types of right action and worship that brings about desired results, such as prosperity, progeny, etc. At a later stage, as the Vedic literature developed and the Upanishads were composed, it came to mean also an action as well as a result of an action. In the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Yajnavalkya says, "Just as someone does and acts, so becomes. By doing good, the person becomes good, and by doing evil, becomes evil." On the level of our activities, we know that every action has consequences. If I water and weed my yard regularly, I will enjoy the grass and the flowers, whereas if I neglect it, weeds will grow high, snakes will come, etc. If I greet people with a smile, I contribute to the creation of a friendly and positive community. But if I pout and blame others, I build toxic environment around me, and soon I will feel lonely and isolated. Karma is nonetheless this law of cause and effect as it takes place in our psyche. Looking back to the last meeting, we discussed vrittis, vasanas, and samskaras, and we understood that they work in a circuit of feeding and raising desires and fears. Desires cause vrittis, thoughts or ideas, that turn into urges and prompt us to act, to fulfill it. And as much as we follow and repeat actions, this pattern gets embedded into our subconscious mind as samskara. Prabhuji brought this great allegory that explains samskaras. He mentioned that he originally heard it from Swami Vishnu Devananda. It is like a long play vinyl record. The impressions are grooved into it, so the record can play only what is written on it. Nothing else will sound from that record. So we have thoughts, mental waves that come and go. We have habits, repeated vrittis, patterned pathways. Those become vasanas, subtle desires, things that we incline to. Samskaras are the seeds of all those experiences that are immersed to the depths of our identity and become the foundation of our personality. It's what the world is in our eyes, what things mean to us. We don't know why we are extroverts, competitive, or losers, but those are the parts of our personality that defines us and are the hardest to alter. Why is it important when we want to understand karma? Because our actions are not random. They are caused by thoughts and driven by those desires, tendencies, and everything involved with our personality. How action is born? Going to Prabhuji's commentary on Ishavasya Upanishad in Mantra 1, he details the process, quoting Udayanacharya from Nyaya Kushumanjali. The action here is the effort itself, and it arises due to a feeling of desire. The feeling arises from knowledge, and the object of this knowledge is said to be the command, or it is rather that which causes the command to be inferred. Knowledge causes feeling, which leads to activity. Our feeling regarding some object we know commands us to act. Prabhuji goes on to explain in detail. Jnana, or knowledge. All activities are expressions of thought and come from ideas. Knowledge is thought, memory, and the past. I know my home address because I was there many times. I remember that my keys are in the bag. I know how ice cream tastes because I had ice cream many times. This is the memory that is preserved by the brain for utilitarian purposes. The brain cells store images, sounds, aromas, language, faculties. When we recall an event, the brain collects sensory bits stored in different parts and bring them together. And the same process happens when I need to go home, open the door with the key, and decide what to eat for dinner. I use knowledge based on memory of things I did or experienced in the past. Thought is past. We think about things that we know, things that happened to us. Thinking about the future means reflecting on the known to envision the upcoming. The mind can't come up with something completely novel. Even among the most intelligent, creative, and innovative people, their ideas are based on what they know. They arrange and associate things in new and unique ways, but essentially we work within the scope of the known. Let me challenge you. Imagine a color you've never seen before, or a sound you've never heard, or maybe a state of matter that is not solid, liquid, or gas, some other state. It's not possible. All the colors I can imagine are in between, are combinations of colors I know. All the sounds I will try to come up with will be inferred from sounds I know. Chikirsha, or desire. Knowledge of an object leads to a feeling of attraction or rejection toward it. If it has caused us a pleasant experience, we will want to repeat them and desire will be born. If it causes us painful experience, fear will arise. After we obtain knowledge of something, the first time we taste ice cream, we will either like it, dislike it, or perhaps we will be indifferent to it. I've had ice cream in the past. The knowledge of the object makes it possible that the thought will be inferred. As a child, every year on my birthday, I had ice cream party with all my friends, with presents, very happy memories. Then, when I feel lonely or didn't get something I wanted, I turn to my database to search which object can alleviate the agitation. Ice cream. Ice cream is associated with feeling of happiness, attention, attainment of milestone. I don't need to recall every birthday party because the association has been already established and the impression is embedded. Ice cream means being happy and loved. My desire for the sweet is an unconscious way of seeking and reproducing the experience. Pravriti, or will to act. Out of attraction or rejection, there emerges a will to perform certain action. Pravriti is a Sanskrit term that means go toward or revolve around external element. Here, the word tells us a lot about what is happening in our mind. Go toward or revolve around external element. After the thought arises that is associated with a feeling, the mind is projected outward. The manas is engaged through the jnana indriyas, the organs of knowledge, and the intellect. How can I get ice cream? Where it can be found? Which flavor? Cheshta or motor effects. The will to act gives rise to the effort to obtain or remove an object. Here, the organs of action respond to the emergency call. I'm turning on sirens, getting to the freezer, and loading a cone. And finally, karya, or action. I'm savoring the heavenly sweet. This is the process of karma. Our past conditions us with desires and fear. We respond to those with our current actions where new karma is produced. Karma is classified into 3 types: positive, negative, and combined. Negative actions are the results of actions that harm, injure, cause pain to others, or create conflict. Those kind of actions are often associated with selfishness, a personal gain on the account of deprivation of others. If I am harassing people, I'm creating fear and resentment, and eventually I will be met with the same hostility. Positive karma is actions that contribute to harmony and well-being, usually selfless acts. For example, charity to humanitarian causes or helping the needy. Religious rites are considered good actions. Combined karma is a mixed one. And Prabhuji writes, we tend to encounter mixed karma in daily life because in reality, action is never completely good or completely bad. In every negative action, goodness is concealed, just as in any positive action, something negative is hidden. We all know how difficult it is to please everyone. We often have to make hard decisions to resolve a complicated matter in the best way possible. A decision that benefits one despite depriving another. This is a mixed karma. But other instances are less obvious. For example, when we hide intentions. Say I am a millionaire, giving in charity, or I'm going to volunteer in a disaster-stricken area. My action is beneficial and helps alleviate some humanitarian problem. But what can be the motivation for good action? Could it be some prestige that comes with it? I feel important. I will come back to my friends as a superhero with the best stories and receive admirations. Maybe this content will advance my YouTube channel. Which all this turns it into an opportunist action. So this is mixed karma. There are even more hidden elements beyond our knowledge. I may be stopping the traffic to help an elderly person cross the street. This is a very good thing. I help someone stay safe. My action inspires bystanders. But unknowingly, I caused another driver to be late to work. He got fired, lost the family only source of income, and now he can't provide for his children. Maybe they will be evicted. I will never know about it, and to my best knowledge, I have done pure good. Perhaps this is his karma. he needed to get into this ordeal as a result of past activities. But for some reason, I was the one who stumbled into this occurrence, and his karma returned through my deed. So in fact, my action was mixed karma. Complete immunity to bad karma is virtually impossible. But what matters is our intentions. Our intentions take most of the weight. When an unlawful act is committed, the judicial system evaluates the motives, the circumstances, and the correctional response and its intensity are given in consideration. And Prabhuji writes in connection to it, just as attitude influences activity, our motivations influence us. Our intentions act out. The surgeon, doctor, the deli worker, and the murderer. What's in common? All three have knives that cut through flesh. But their intention and the action carried is very different. The psychopath wants to harm people, he will go to jail. The surgeon, to save lives, he will be respected. And the deli worker is making a living. He will have food on his table. What makes pure desires, like those of a saint? He is not harming anyone. But also the deli worker is not harming anyone. He's a good person, and my neighbor too, and all the people in Greene County. But the purity of the saint is his unselfish attitude. His actions are motivated by love for the divine and his created beings, deeper than thoughts, deeper than emotions. On the level of the samskaras, he doesn't see evil. His love and compassion are prevalent in his demeanor toward everyone, also toward those who envy him. It is thus essential to feed our mind with elevated thoughts, to purify the desires that enslaves us, and convert those desires into liberating aspirations. Here we see a very important element in Prabhuji's style. Usually when we recognize an unwanted trait, we want to get rid of it. I need to stop eating sweets, or stop smoking, or stop playing video games. It's a waste of time. Or stop complaining. But suppression doesn't work well. You can ask those who try. The Bhagavad Gita says aspirants may restrain the senses from their objects of enjoyment, but the taste for the sense object remains. Suppression doesn't kill vasana. It validates it. Exerting effort to avoid something, that thing is still at the top of our mind, still very important. But the same verse continues to explain that when we taste something better, it's easy to leave the old habit. And Patanjali too, he says how we can do it in the Yoga Sutras in Sādhanā Pada. He says to obstruct thoughts that are inimical to yoga, contrary thoughts will be brought. This is the method Prabhuji always advises. Don't fight the darkness, rather bring light. Start developing an interest in something more favorable that supports your goals. Don't think about stopping eating sweets. Divert your focus of attachment to what you will get by being healthy and fit. Start planting the seeds in another fertile ground. The interest is given. I don't like my crooked ways. I want to be a better person. I want to regain my dignity. And now start doing this one thing that you feel you can. You develop the taste. The interest will thrive. It will grow to be a desire, and the desire into a passion. And this is the way to cultivate new vasanas and samskaras. So, okay, not everyone becomes a saint, but it doesn't matter. You plant the seeds. The seeds are there. When the rain falls, when the sun shines, they will grow. One spiritual practice, for example, in the temple we present the deity with food offerings. After the offering, the devotees honor that food by eating it themselves. That food is considered purifying. In which way does it purify? There is no organic or chemical change. The practice is elevating our thoughts and emotions. The purifying effect comes from the intention. Something was made out of love to please God unselfishly. And our eating, a very instinctive need, is transformed from self-satisfying act to worship by the power of intention. The law of karma is the law of cause and effect, or the law of causation. Each cause creates an equally intense effect in the opposite direction, which returns to the originator or source of the action. Any action carries with it its reaction, originating in a merit or demerit, with its corresponding fruits in the present or next life. The Vedic wisdom affirms that the entire universe is under the control of this infallible and absolute law from which it is impossible to escape. The law of karma governs all movements, from atoms and cells to galaxies and universes, and it encompasses all they contain, visible and invisible. How Prabhuji explains the law of cause and effect. Let's break it down a little bit. The law of karma is the law of cause and effect, or the law of causation. Each cause creates an equally intense effect in the opposite direction, which returns to the originator, or the source of the action. I bounce a ball. When it hits the ground, the impact causes the ball to bounce back with the same intensity. Every action has an origin and an effect that returns to the origin. Why does it return to the origin? What if I throw the ball in an open field? Karmic results are not something else than our own action in their full potential. We are met with situations originating in our own subconsciousness. When I passed in red light, there was no cop around to see me. I didn't get a ticket. But I know my actions, and I planted the seed. We already learned in our last meeting that the first coffee that tastes nice makes the second more likely, and the rest will be a habit. At some point, my reckless driving may cause a road accident. Let's check the Satkaryavada theory of the theory of cause and effect of the Samkhya philosophy. The theory recognizes that everything in the manifested universe is run by causation. Every effect must have a material cause and an efficient cause. And the effect exists in the causing potential. An effect cannot be produced if it's not existing in the cause. Cheese is made of milk. The cheese pre-exists in the milk in potential. Cheese can never be made from something else, from water, from metal, but it can always be produced from milk, its material cause. However, the milk cannot turn into cheese randomly. It needs an efficient cause, something that acts on it. The efficient cause is the cheesemaker and the bacterial culture that causes the fermentation. So the milk and the cheese are two different forms of the same raw material. So similarly, in any action, that we carry out, the results exist in potential in the original act. A road accident will not happen to me if I read a book in the library. It needs a car and a reckless driver. I happen to have a car and I pass in red light. Here is the material and the efficient cause. Any action carries with it its reaction, originating in a merit or demerit, with its corresponding fruits in the present or next life. Some events appear as if they happened randomly, by way of chance. We are shocked at how an evil act was committed against a good person, or why someone who is unrighteous has luck coming his way, why someone's life was taken untimely. We think that this is unjust. We don't see the cause for this particular instance, but it's nonetheless there. It may have happened very far in the past, or very possibly not in this life. There are three types of karma: sanchita karma, or accumulated karma; prarabdha, or commenced karma; agami karma, or present karma. Sanchita is the total of all our past karma, including that has not yet produced results. All of the karma is stored in the chitta, our subconscious mind. We don't have to be aware of it all, but it's there in a form of desires, fears, our tendencies, and our personality. The actions that were carried out in the past had left their seeds. Prarabdha is what's happening now. The results of past actions I'm experiencing now. This karma is the source of our current body, the current situation, and everything that crosses our way. Agami is karma produced in the present life or the present moment. My reactions to what is happening, the seeds that are now being sown for the next to come. The law of karma governs all movements from atoms and cells to galaxies and universes, and it encompasses all they contain, visible and invisible. When looking at the universe, the Sankhya recognizes Prakriti as and its three gunas, Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva, as the material cause, and Purusha as the efficient. Everyone is bound to act helplessly according to the modes of nature. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3. This is matter in its most subtle form, as pure qualities, illumination, action, and inertia. The interaction of these qualities bring their further materialization in different levels of energy, from subtle to gross, which appears as the diversity of names and forms. And Prabhuji goes on to explain. The effect lies in potential form in the cause, which manifests as the effect. Within the seed lies the potential tree, and the tree is the manifestation of the seed. In this example, it is pointed out that the cause and the effect are not separate. In the law of karma, there is a natural association we all accept without question. Like the cheese and the milk, we accept that a reckless driving can cause a road accident. So, why do we distinguish cause from effect? We see them. Why we see them as two separate occurrences? It is because of our perception of time that moves from past to future. So we're seeing one event leading to another. Imagine looking through a keyhole and seeing a cat walking across. We will first see the head, then the body passing, and last the tail. So perceiving reality through limited view, similar to the concept of time, we will describe a cat as a process that begins with a head, turns into a body, and lingers for some time as a tail. But if the door was open, we would see the whole thing. Let's look now a little bit deeper into Prabhuji's teaching when he points out to the unity of the cause and the effect. There is a greater underlying unity that is inferred, which is the unity of Brahman. Prabhuji described Brahman in many instances as the screen on which the game of life is projected. That under these limiting conditions of Maya, ignorance, we project this reality with its notions of time, space, and causality. That is, what is the source of karma? The source of karma is the agency, the doer. Without the I that acts, it's only a movement of the gunas. And then in Advaita Vedanta, Prabhuji writes, the sensory universe was not created. It is only an appearance of the ultimate reality under certain limiting conditions, such as space and time. Advaita Vedanta rejects the theory of causality as inconsistent, because from the perspective of the timeless absolute platform, one event does not precede another. I will stop here, and we will resume this conversation in the next part of this meeting about reincarnation. Jai Prabhuji.